So the print's just starting. I'm printing the Bulbasaur, as you see there. And the goal of this stream is I'm testing out something new for me. PLA and PETG are two different plastics, or filaments, whatever you want to call them, in 3D printing. And because they are different types of materials, they don't bond that well to each other. So, in theory, when I print I'm printing PLA, and it's going to be a PETG support layer, sort of like an interface layer between the print and the support. So, when the print's done, I should be able to easily take off the supports, and it won't leave as much. It'll be easier to remove, because typically, when you're printing with PLA and you're using PLA supports, they're the same material, so they bond really well to each other. And it's hard to remove those supports, and you get left with some like ugly support marks on your prints. So what I'm trying here is a little bit of experiment. I was doing some reading about it, and you'll see, or hopefully I'll see if this works or not. I still probably need to tweak the settings a little bit. I just threw it in there, and I'm hoping it goes well. I need to adjust the lighting slightly here. Let me go to OBS. Where's my camera? Yeah, it's a little too saturated there. There we go. That's a little better. So right now it's printing a prime tower. Because I'm using two different materials, I'm also set up to do massive flushes in between material types. So hopefully nothing clogs. That's another worry on this print. So, we'll see how this print goes. I hope it goes okay. It's the first time using this technique for myself, so. So this test print won't be switching between different materials until a few layers up. The underside of the Bulbasaur will need supports, and that's where you'll see some filament changes. Also, the teeth and the mouth will need some supports as well. And that's where you're going to see some more filament changes. I really hope this goes okay. It's that first time printing in 2 different materials like this, so. How's everyone doing today? Hello, and welcome to anybody that's watching right now. This is dual purpose right now. I'm printing a Bulbasaur, but I'm also testing out a new technique where my main print right now is in PLA, and I'm going to do a support interface layer that is in PETG. The idea behind this is the support will release easier and won't leave as many marks on the print itself. And I just started this print. It's good. The first few layers here, you're not going to see any filament swapping to the support interface layer that I have planned. But when it gets to the underbelly of the Bulbasaur, that's when you're going to see the print head go back into the left corner. And I'm going to swap from PLA to PETG for the interface layer. I think there's going to be 26 filament swaps in this. And one thing, a setting I made sure I clicked is I increased the flush volume for the filaments because they are filaments of different type. You don't want the filaments contaminating each other. So another reason, there's also a prime tower here, and I'm not flushing into objects or infill as well. Oh, this is gonna be the first filament change here for the first support layer. Not first support layer, but first interface layer. If anybody has questions about 3D printing or why I'm doing this print like I am right now, please ask. I'm more than willing to help anybody out if I can. So this is the first filament swap. I've never printed in different types of plastic like this before, so this is going to be interesting. One thing I made sure I had to do is increase my flush volume between the filaments. And like I said, this is a test print. It could come out horribly, or it could come out wonderfully. And if this test print fails, well, you guys are going to be in for a really cool show of a failed print. Everybody loves watching failed prints. Like a slow motion disaster sometimes when they happen. So right now, it's I have a prime tower going. I'm hoping that doesn't. Didn't think about that before. With the different types of plastic, I hope that prime tower holds up. Didn't think about that beforehand. Like I said, you might be in for a show today where something fails terribly. I guess it's the nature of test prints, right? I hope it doesn't fail horribly, but if it does, I'm right here next to the printer talking to you guys, and I can easily stop it before it gets too bad. If you guys have watched any kind of 3D printing content before, you've probably seen the blobs of death that happens when some prints fail. I've had one blob of death. Wasn't the biggest one. It was on my A1 Mini. I was printing some low layer height parts, and bed adhesion wasn't good enough on the Mini. I think I had a dirty build plate, and yeah, it took out my bed. Not my bed, but took out the print. When I got home, like, I went to the store real quick. I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem. I can run to the store real quick. It'll print fine. I got back, and there was like this pink ball of plastic at the end of my A1 Mini. Something got jammed in there. Not sure what. Something in the nozzle jammed, and I tried cleaning that jam on the Mini, and it just never printed right after that. I had to do a nozzle swap on it. But I'm hoping not for a plastic ball of death in this print. How's everybody doing today? I know I have a few different projects I'm printing out, and I just got done with one of my other prints, and I thought I'd squeeze this test print in real quick. I swear, if I had 10 printers, I could probably have them going all at the same time right now, with all the ideas for projects in my head. So far, so good. Nothing's obviously failing on the print yet. I mean, once the print gets past Bulbasaur's mouth right there, we should be in the clear. Actually, let me go with a slicer and see what layer Bulbasaur's mouth is going to be at. So I think about layer 112. Once we get to layer 112, we'll be in the clear here for this test print. Like I was saying earlier, I made sure I set my flush volumes really high for this because PETG and PLA don't play nice together. But that same reason, because they don't play nice together, is why I'm testing this out for using PETG for a support layer. So most, like 90%, 99.9% of the supports are going to be made up of PLA. But just that one layer between the support and the print itself is going to be PETG. I've never done this before, so I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I might have to tweak the settings a little more too. But right now, we're seeing how it goes. Yeah, see that little tiny print it did after the filament swap? That was the PETG support layer. Actually, I'm going to walk over to the printer and see how it looks. Just a second. It looks like it's printing okay. It's too soon to tell if this print's gonna be a failure or not, though. I'm also trying to get some recordings for a long format video too. So if you see my phone in front of the webcam, I'm sorry. Trying to multitask. Hello, how is everybody doing? I was just doing a little bit of close-up filming. Trying to get something for a long format video going. I hope this test works out. Either way, I may have a really good video with a positive test at the end, or I'm gonna be doing this till I get my settings dialed in. It's gonna be a really long video. Either way, a video's coming out. If anybody has any questions about 3D printing, ask in chat, and I'll do my best to answer. I don't know. I only know what I know about 3D printing. I can answer a lot of questions, but I know there's questions I can't ask. I'll be upfront about that. If I can't ask, I'll let you guys know. Because I've been 3D printing since March now, and I've learned a lot. I started off on the A1 Mini. Great deal. I love the little printer. And recently, Bamboo had a sale. I think their 2-year anniversary sale during the month of June, and I picked up the printer you see now, which is the P1S. It's a Core XY, which means its motion system. The bed, the Z-axis, will move up and down on 3 different rails, or rods. They move up and down. The bed moves up and down. And the tool head there, the giant white thing, that will move in the X and Y direction, and that's controlled by belts. While the A1 Mini is a Cartesian, or a bed slinger type, where the bed will move in the Y axis, and the tool head itself will move in the Z and the X axis. So when people say bed slinger or Core XY, all they're referring to is the motion style of the printer. Each have their benefits and downsides. Like, one thing I've noticed with, let's say, the P1S here being the Core XY is, I don't know if it's a P1S thing or a Core XY thing, but the P1S is a lot louder than the A1 Mini. P1S is also enclosed. I decided to go with the enclosed printer for the P1S in case I wanted to print any more advanced filaments where I would need a enclosed printer. Because when the sale started for last month, almost 2 months ago now, beginning of June, I was deciding between the bigger A1, because I only have the A1 Mini, or the P1S. And the regular one's a lot cheaper. It probably would have suited 85% of what I wanted to do. But I wanted the option to print with a little bit harder to print materials, like an ABS, ASA, where I need an enclosed printer. So I left myself the option, if I want to print with those materials in the future, I can on this machine without setting up an enclosure around my A1 or whatever, because this actually has the cooling designed into it so it doesn't the internals don't overheat. And there's a bunch of different brands that have the Core XY model. I just decided to go with Bamboo because I already had the A1 Mini and I wanted to stay within the Bamboo ecosystem. But there are other Core XY models out there that are really good. I don't know I can't think of a modern printer right now that's actually bad, like straight up just terrible. That's came out in like the past year or two. Sure, we gotta tinker with some printers a little bit more, but like they're not bad. And most modern printers nowadays are running Clipper software, and with modern filaments and Clipper software, the print speeds across the board are a lot faster nowadays. Because a lot of these filament companies now are making filaments that are designed for high speed. They'll call them high speed, high flow. Heck, Bamboo Lab actually just introduced a new PETG. I need to order some and test it out. But Bamboo introduced a new PETG that's high flow, and supposedly it prints just as fast as PLA, and that's amazing. It's something I'm gonna have to definitely pay a few bucks for and test out. Because right now, I don't have any sponsorships or partnerships with any companies, so everything you see here, this came out of my own pocket. So, and if it ever comes to the point where I do make that decision or companies start reaching out to me, I'm gonna make it very clear with any company I work with that I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. If there's something wrong with their product, I'll be straight up about it. Like, but at the same time, I can only review my experiences I have with products. So it's one of those things. You just, when being in my position as I'm starting to grow on the platform, I want to be honest about products. If like companies reach out to me, I don't mind testing out products or trying products. If a company wants to send it to me, yeah, I'll review it for them. But I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I'll be honest with you, with my viewers about it when I make videos. Yeah, I know I'm sort of just ranting right now. The print process itself can go a little slow, so I'm just trying to film some dead space with some of the background music and me ranting. I wouldn't call it a rant, just trying to be informational. For anybody that's just joining the stream now, what I am printing now is a Bulbasaur. But that's not the main point of today's stream. The main point of today's stream is testing out how well a PLA print will work with PETG interface supports, or interface layer supports. As I printed the same Bulbasaur yesterday, and when I took out the supports, its stomach was horrible. Like, I tried cleaning it up the best I could, and it just would not get clean. So I hopped online, did a little research, and found out that when printing in PLA or printing in PETG, the inverse is true of this. But when printing in PLA, you can have that layer of your supports between the support and the print itself be PETG. And because they're different plastics, especially these two types of plastics, they don't really interface with each other that well because the materials are so different, they don't fuse. So the test I'm doing here is basic settings. All I did in my print slicer was select, PETG as an interface layer, sliced it up and sent it. I could probably change a little more settings with top Z offset and bottom Z offset for supports, but I just wanted to see how well this would do just throwing it in there. So this is my little experiment I'm running. Hey there, both Brains, or is it both Brians? A little far away, I can't see how that's spelled. So yeah, right now, I'm just trying to run this test with PLA and PETG for support interface layer. And like I was saying, the chances for anything failing should be gone by about layer 112-ish, because that's when the last layer of PETG is to be laid down for interface layer. So I'm hoping that this works out really well. So what are you up to there, both? Whenever you see a filament swap happening, the print head there will go to the back left side of the printer, and it'll swap filaments. And it's a little experiment I'm running right now is I'm trying to, the main print's PLA, but I am doing the support interface layer in PETG because they're different types of plastics, and those two types of plastics really don't fuse that well together. So the whole point of this is to have a cleaner print at the end with less post-processing. And it didn't add, for the settings I have right now, it didn't add too much time to my print. It only added an hour. Um, but I will, if I tweak the settings even more, I think it might increase the time. So right now I'm trying to see, a time benefit. Is it worth the extra time for the results I get? I don't know yet. And I got lucky because I just got done doing a project for a riser on top of the printer from an AMS unit. So I had some leftover PETG from that. So because I normally don't print in PETG, but I wanted to do the riser because PETG has more heat resistance. So that's why I printed that in PETG. But yeah, I had that left over, and I found out about, like, I always knew since I started printing that these two things really don't print well together. So, like, you shouldn't have a multicolored print that's PETG and PLA because they don't fuse well. But I did some research yesterday and today, and found out you can use PETG as the interface layer between the PLA support and the PLA print. And in theory, the print will come off really easy from the support will come off really easy from the prints. It'll be really clean, so I don't do that much post-processing. Anybody have any questions about 3D printing, about the printer? Or I can go over what I'm doing again right now. Just say something in chat, and I'll be more than happy to explain stuff to everybody. I hope everybody's having a good Sunday afternoon right now. Or if it's not quite Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning. Or if it's wherever you're at in the world, if it's Monday already. Hope you're having a good day. But right now, I am printing a Bulbasaur. Trying to test out if a PLA print using PETG interface layer supports, how that comes out in the print. I'm hoping it comes out well. We're gonna find out. And there is a risk that the nozzle gets clogged when I'm doing this. I may have not set my filament purge high enough. And if that happens, well, you're gonna see this fail. It'd be an amazing fail. Let me just put it that way. Hello, and welcome if you're just joining the stream. How is everybody doing? So far, everything looks to be going okay with this test print. I'm just nervous about it. I've never done this type of stuff before with, So, let me just back up and I'll tell everybody what I'm doing. This is a test print. I am printing in PLA, type of plastic filament. And what I'm doing is using a support interface layer of PETG. In theory, what this is supposed to do is leave a really easy cleanup for your supports, no post-processing. Because normally when you print supports, you normally do it with PLA. Like, whatever you're printing, whether you do the same material for your supports. The issue with that is, like, they're the same material. So the supports sometimes will fuse really well with your print itself, and either A, they'll be really hard to remove, or B, they'll leave some nasty scarring on your print, and it's really hard to get rid of. So, just trying this experiment right now with using the PETG plastic as an interface layer for clean removal of supports, and hopefully the final product comes out really nice too. So, we'll find out. And if anybody has questions about 3D printing, or any questions at all, I'll do my best to answer the questions. So, I'm not going to be able to answer everything, but it never hurts to ask a question. Always been a big believer in there are no stupid questions. Because honestly, if you don't know something, it's not a stupid question. I think sometimes people are arrogant when they say, you know, that's a stupid question or something. But really, if it's coming from a place of interest and people don't know, I really say there is no stupid questions. Just because a question might seem obvious to somebody doesn't mean it is to somebody else. So, like I said, there is no stupid questions. But if you have any questions about 3D printing or any questions in general you want to ask, throw them in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them. Hello, and welcome to the stream. Anyway, it's just joined. I am printing a Bulbasaur, but that is not the main point of this stream today. I am testing out, I guess you call it a technique or a method of printing supports. I am using PETG as an interface layer for my PLA print. If you don't know what that means, pretty much when you're printing stuff, the filament, plastic, whatever you want to call it, it has certain mechanical properties. You know, it can't defy gravity. So if you have an overhang, or something 80 degrees, or there's a lot of angles, pretty much a steep angle, you can't just print without support. And so in 3D printing, you gotta use supports a lot of times to support that print you can get the shapes you want. But one of the downsides is when you're using like materials, like PLA, your print's PLA and your supports are PLA, they'll fuse really well together, so cleanup can be really hard. What I'm experimenting with right now is using an interface layer of PETG. It's a different type of plastic, and it doesn't fuse that well to PLA. The whole goal behind this is for easier support removal and print cleanup at the end. Some of you viewers have been here for watching this for a little bit. I'm sorry if I keep repeating myself. I just want to make sure new viewers know what's going on. And like I said before, I think I posted in chat too, if you're curious about 3D printing, have any 3D printing related questions, please ask. You might have just seen me filming a little bit up close there, trying to get some video captured for a long format or maybe a short in the future of this process too. Multitasking, one print, multiple projects. With the settings I have now for this test print, the original print without doing the PETG support interface layer was about a little over an hour. This increased the print time to about 2 hours, so it's not too bad, especially if it works well with my settings. There is some other settings I can tweak as well. Before I printed this, I was messing around in my slicer. Depending on my settings, this could actually go up to like a 5-hour print, but I really hope just the settings I have right now work out well. If it does, for anything that needs supports and want to come out clean without much post-processing, I'll probably use this in the future with my imprint PLA. I'll use PETG as a support interface layer. I also readjusted the tripod. It was a little off center and it was bugging me. Sorry about that, I had to step away for a second. A friend just texted me some interesting information. Not gonna talk about that here because I do not want to talk about politics on this stream, or in general on my channel. No matter what take you have, it's always gonna be a cluster, so avoid politics. the danger zone, in my opinion. It's at about layer 112-ish, 113. The danger zone for the print failing, I think, will pretty much be done. Then we'll have to move to results. Hopefully the results come out good too. We'll find out. How's everybody doing? I know it's boring when the filament has to change, but in order for this process I'm testing out, it has to change. I'm really not that big into using multicolor prints, like for fine details. For different layers, yeah, but like normally I don't like multicolor prints because they take too long. They have a place. I do have a Bamboo Lab P1S with the AMS unit, so obviously it's doing filament swaps. The main reason I use it is just for extra filament storage, and I don't have to swap out filament sometimes. Hello everyone, if you're just joining, I'm doing a test print. Not the Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur, I printed it out once already. Prints out great. What my test is, this Bulbasaur requires supports. Its underbelly is raised up and it's flat, and that's something you normally print supports with. My test here is I'm printing in PLA, but for my support interface layer, I'm using PETG. And the reason I'm doing this is because the two different plastics, because they're so different, they don't mix well. They don't fuse well when you're 3D printing them. So, in theory, if my settings are okay, what this is going to lead to is these supports easily peeling off the print when I'm done for easier cleanup. And normally when you're printing PLA, you use PLA supports. Well, in this case, my support, and that normally, because they're the same plastic, they fuse together. Well, in theory, because these are different plastics in that support interface layer, it's going to leave a clean print, and I won't have to mess with any post-processing in the print. So hopefully this works out. Hello to anyone that's just joining. Today I am doing a support test print. The Bulbasaur print's great. I printed one already. What I'm testing is using PETG as a support interface layer in a PLA print. And I decided I was going to live stream it. And gained a sub and lost a sub. Double-edged sword. Hello everyone, if you're just joining my stream. For the most part, I'll have lo-fi music going in the background watching the print. But this is a test print, and I am here monitoring chat in case anybody has any questions about 3D printing or other things. So just ask away. So what I am testing out in this print is whether or not if PETG can be a good interface layer for PLA supports and PLA print. In theory, it should work out because PLA and PETG don't fuse well together because they're different types of plastic, and they just don't have the properties that do it that well together. So, but if you have any questions, ask away in chat, please. Hi there, David. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. This is a test print, not of Bulbasaur, but of a print method I'm testing out. I'm using PETG filament as a interface support layer with PLA. In theory, because PLA and PETG are so different, they shouldn't fuse that well. So it should lead to easier support removal and less post-processing on the print. So I'm testing that out right now. And this Bulbasaur is a good model to test that out with. Yeah, luckily I had a spool of PETG left over from my AMS riser project. So I just threw that in my AMS and I'm testing it out. I might have to tweak my settings. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. I'm pretty much past the danger zone of the print failing now. It should just be PLA the rest of the way. I was a little concerned about possible nozzle clogging, but I set my flush rate really high in between filament swaps. And if this does work out, well, even if it doesn't, I plan on making this into a long-form video for my channel. I've been, if you play the live back a little bit, you'll see my phone I use as my camera sneak into the shot every now and again. But this is a cool little experiment I want to do, and if it works, definitely want to share it out with everybody. Because I don't know how many people are aware that you can do this. I didn't know either until I was doing some research yesterday, and thought it'd be a cool idea to test out, and if it works, make a video on it. And why not stream printing a cool little Bulbasaur? Who doesn't like Bulbasaur? Actually, it's not a bad idea. I might actually just... You know what? I think I'm going to print all... That might be a... That'd be a good series. Printing all original 151 Pokemon. I need to print a shelf out for them. Hey there, Time. How you doing today? That's good to hear. Not bad myself. Just doing a test print right now. Not of Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur's printing great. What I'm testing is using PETG as a support interface layer for PLA prints. In theory, because PLA and PETG are so different, they don't really fuse that well together. And using PETG as a support interface layer should mean easier support removal, and the support and the print itself should come out a lot cleaner. So this is my test print for that. I'm past the danger zone of the print failing with filament swaps. That was like layer 112. Right now it's just the Bulbasaur's finishing up. Oh, thanks, David. Yeah, probably next week if this depending if I have to tweak my settings or not more. If this does work, watch out for a long form video. I'll go over a little more detail of what exactly I'm doing. I'll show off my slicer settings if you're curious about that kind of stuff too. And I'll go over what brand of filaments I'm using and all that stuff. The whole reason I even started thinking about this is I printed this Bulbasaur last night originally, and its belly, when I took supports off, was horrible. Like, I couldn't clean it up. So instead of, I was first started trying to tune my support settings, but then I came across some people saying that you could use PETG as an interface layer. So that got me going on this, and I had to test it out. Oh no, there is a lot of filaments you can use. The most common filament, two filaments, is probably PLA and PETG. But then there's ABS, polycarbonate, then there's nylon you can print with, TPU, which is like a flexible plastic. All have their own different settings you gotta dial in, print speed, print temperature, something like ABS, for example. Right now I'm printing with my printer door open, but with ABS I'd have to have that door closed. I want to avoid all drafts, because how it prints and how it cools, if you don't dial it in right, and you don't have the proper, if it's drafty, the edges of your print will cool faster, and it'll lead, your print will curl up off your print bed with ABS. So when you're printing with some of those more hard to print filaments, typically you need some kind of enclosure. Some people have, let's say, a bed slinger. They'll put like a plastic tent around it, or they'll build their own plexiglass enclosure for it to use it as a bed slinger. Or the printer I have right now, the Bamboo Lab P1S, has its own. It's enclosed. It's an enclosed core actual live machine. So. But for 90% of stuff you want to print, like for little toys for kids, or, little fidgets, doohickeys, whatever, PLA works just fine. But the different plastics have different properties. So, I tried printing my riser unit on my machine. Oh, see you, David. But, so I used a different type of plastic for that, because the riser unit I have, it goes on top of the printer, and then the glass goes on top of that. But I wanted to have a little more heat-resistant type plastic, so I printed that in PETG. No, there's a lot of material science that goes into filaments, and the companies that are producing filaments are always working on the material science. Whether it's certain additives when you add the filaments will have it print differently, and also affect its properties, whether it be impact resistance or tensile strength. There's a lot that goes into it. For example, Bamboo Lab just came out with a new PETG high flow. That's normally with PETG, it prints a lot slower. And Bamboo did something with their PETG. They added some stuff to it where it almost now prints by. I haven't tested it out, so this is what I've seen so far. The new Bamboo Lab PETG supposedly prints just as good, like fast as PLA. I'm gonna have to buy some and test it out. So you want to print big things? Like helmets, or what kind of stuff are you thinking about printing? Okay. And you want something that's cheap. So I would look into the Elegoo Neptune Max or Elegoo Neptune Pro. It's a bed slinger. And the Elegoo 3, Neptune 3. It's a little bit cheaper. Really good machine. It's slow and big. And you'll have to do a little tinkering on it to get it printing right. But for its price, if I had the space, I'd probably get one myself. I don't have any more space in my work area. And if you wanted to spend a little bit more money for a bigger print bed, I think the Solvol SV08 would be the next price up. It's pretty much a Voron clone, if you know what a Voron machine is. So yeah, you have options. It's gonna be the SV08's gonna be a little bit louder. It's gonna be faster than the Elegoo Neptunes. But it's a decent machine. Oh, thanks, Puppet Show. But when you're looking at the Elegoo Neptunes, there's 3 different models. They should have the base model, the Pro, and the Max. I think the Pro might be big enough for helmets. I'd have to look at the size of the beds again. Well, that's right. You're over in New Zealand, aren't you? Yeah, I think that's so cool that this platform, I can have people all across the world watching any time of the day. That's still amazing to me. Yeah, but time, pretty much anything for sizes of beds, anything over 300 millimeters build volume, normally is considered helmet class. I'm not exactly sure what the Neptune Pro and the Max are, but I know they're big enough for helmet class. And the cheaper models are going to be the Elegoo Neptune 3 Pro and Max compared to the 4. The 4 is going to be a little more expensive. It's a little newer. Some newer technology in there. But the 3s still print just as well if you're on a budget. Well, it's almost done. It's the last few layers here. I like the PS1. For me, it was a debate between the PS1 and the A1. So I already had the A1 Mini. I decided to go with the P1S because it has an enclosure and I can print materials that require an enclosure with it if I wanted to in the future. But if all you're planning to print is like PLA, PETG, and TPU, I'd go with the A1 if you want to go with bamboo. Just for the price difference. Unless you're planning on printing, ABS, nylon, that type of material, I'd just go with the A1. So, that's just my 2 cents on it. But there's also, no, I'm just trying to think the size, because the bamboos are 256. If you want, it also depends what size bed you want. No, the mini's great. I love that little machine. Actually, I need to get a extension cord for mine, because where it's at, ever since I installed the AMS, I printed the AMS riser on this machine. Actually, you know what? Let me adjust the webcam real quick. I'm filming it. I'll show you the AMS riser I printed for this. Hold on, just a second. Yeah, that's the AMS riser I printed. Oh, thanks, time. And the reason I went with that is because when I'm live streaming or just time lapses, the basic bamboo lights were terrible. That little light bar that's in there, it's terrible. So with that, it's a low profile riser that I made, and it allowed me to install a LED light around it, and the way it's set up, I didn't have to mess with any internal wiring on the printer itself. Actually, there's a cable going out the back that I have just plugged into the wall. And actually, I'll show you something else cool. It came with a remote, and I chose different natural lighting, so there's the different colors of lighting that it's set, different, warm colors pretty much, simulate different colors of lighting. I like this one the most, that's what I go with. But if you want to add a little bit of RGB, you could. I mean, it's up to you and your preference. Yes, it's just one of the, I guess, mods or add-ons I wanted to print. And okay, David, thanks for joining. But yeah, if you do go with the P1S, it's a good machine. You'll be happy with it. I haven't had any issues except for some bed adhesion, which is probably just my fault for not cleaning my bed. So well, I am gonna end this stream now before I can start working on this little project. I might go live again here in a little bit. Probably print a Pokemon or something. Test this out again if this doesn't work. But thank you for everybody that stopped by the stream today. I appreciate it. Hopefully I can catch you next time. Like I said, I really don't have a stream schedule. I need to get that set up still. I just go live whenever I can. I work full time, family man, so things get crazy when I get a chance to stream. I do. But again, thank you for everybody that watched, and I will catch you all later. I'm ending the stream.